Hey there, VC or anyone who's watching this video. This is sort of a list, 10 krautrock albums you must hear before you leave this planet. Perhaps not the definitive list, or if I had done this video in a month, maybe the list would have changed severely, I don't know. But anyway, if you want to dip your toes into the krautrock universe, which of course is the progressive music scene in Germany from about 1968, 1969 to the mid-70s. I won't go into a discussion what krautrock is, but the phenomena krautrock isn't one genre, it's all experimental and progressive music from the German scene in the early 70s. Within that universe there's folk, psych, progressive, experimental, avant-garde, electronic music, and so on and so on. Even political rock, if you wish. We have of course such name as Can, Neu, Faust, which many people have heard about if they're into progressive music, but some of these might be known to many of you and some might not be as known. But here is my list of 10 krautrock albums you have to hear before you die. No particular order. The first one is Tangerine Dream's first LP, Electronic Meditation. And why did I choose this LP? Well, first of all, the title is quite deceptive. This isn't meditative at all, a quite challenging listen. And this is before Tangerine Dream found their infamous sound, that sort of electronically based ambient soundscapey sounds. This is sound collage, but with well, what can I say, traditional instruments such as drums, bass, cello, even some non-musical instruments are on here, but this is quite a different Tangerine Dream to the rest of their catalog. And if you're into Ra Tempel, for example, I urge you to listen to this one. So, Tangerine Dream, Electronic Meditation, on the Mach das Ohr auf label. And you will see more of this label straight away, because that's one of my favorite krautrock labels. Ohr. Next up, of course, I had to include one of Ra Tempel's albums. I had a hard time choosing, but this was the first album I got acquainted with years back, and it still holds a special place in my heart, especially the track Amon, which takes up all of side one. Of course, there are only 2 tracks on this LP. Second side is Traummaschine, which is more electronically based, but both are space rock, cosmic rock, free form jamming. Excellent. Klaus Schulze on drums here as well as on Electronic Meditation. Excellent drumming from Klaus Schulze before he abandoned the drums and became famous for electronic music and synthesizers. So Manuel Götzing rips your face off on this one. So Ra Tempel, selected track Amboss from 1971. Next up, another well-established and quite known krautrock band, Guru, and their first album UFO, or UFO in Deutsch, also a release on the Ohr label. Fantastic cosmic freeform jamming I think LSD had a lot to do with this release, and one of the songs is called Der LSD March, the LSD March. Fantastic if you like that sort of Jimi Hendrix universe meets free jazz meets cosmic prog rock freeform. This is an awesome listen. Well, 2-3 bands which are fairly known to most people. Next up we have a one-off, one and done. Back in the day they have gotten back together and are still active, I think. But this LP by Necronomicon called Tips zum Selbstmord, Tips for Committing Suicide. This is from, I believe, from 1973 and privately released on a small label. Crude sound production, certainly prog rock, but off the cuff, untraditional. Both the singing, instrumentation and the arrangements are nothing like the ordinary progressive rock you have heard. This is just fantastic. I can't select one track off of this one. This is a must hear from A to Z or Z, from start to finish. So, Necronomicon, Tips zum Selbstmord. You can find this one on YouTube, I think. I don't believe this is on Spotify. This is on Spotify, fortunately. Unfortunately, only Amboss is on Spotify, and I think also this is on Spotify. But Tips zum Selbstmord by Necronomicon you have to find on the YouTubes. Excellent. Another one which was released on a major label is this is the second album by the English/German band Message. From Books and Dreams, and this is considered their best. I also like their debut album When Dawn Anew Is Coming, but I think this is perhaps the one which leaves an impression on you if that's the first time you hear Message. And this is just an awesome dark heavy prog album. And when I say progressive rock, don't think Emerson, Lake and Palmer or Yes or that kind of prog. This is dark, gloomy, progressive music with a will to experiment, and not that sort of megalomaniac later progressive rock. This is fantastic, and if there's one track you have to hear off of this one, it's Dreams and Nightmares. So anything, almost anything on the Bacillus Bellaphon label, grab it. Another one, perhaps more obscure and more difficult to obtain. Perhaps not, I think there are a couple of reissues, is another one of my absolute favorites. Also released on the Bellaphon label before they became a subsidiary of Bellaphon, only Bacillus Records, My Solid Ground. A one and done LP band before they disbanded, but this is fantastic, and especially the opening track, Dirty Yellow Mist. Eerie, gloomy, spacey and drony. Just picture a grey autumn day in an industrial era. Dirty Yellow Mist. You have to hear that track off of My Solid Ground's only LP. Okay, 4 to go. Another one I guess most of you have heard about. You should at least. Amon Düül 2. Amon Düül 2, not to be confused with Amon Düül, which was a hippie commune. They also released some far out records which I quite like as well. But this is a fraction of the Amon Düül commune, which broke out and started their own band. Highly experimental, space rock, progressive rock, psychedelic to a high degree. This is their first album, Phallus Dei, God's Phallus, which it translates to in English, I believe. And the title track, which takes up all of the first side, is excellent, but the whole LP. My favorite track off of this one must be Lucifer's Gila. So do yourself a favor and find Lucifer's Gila, Amon Düül 2. Fantastic. Okay, another band which I regard highly is Gila, originally named Gila Fuchs, shortened to Gila when they released their first LP. This is often referred to as free electric rock, but it's only a self-titled album from 1971, recorded on another major label called BASF, which also released a lot of jazz, but they dipped their toe into Krautrock and even had a subsidiary label called Pilz Records, which also is fantastic. But this is on the dark side of prog, of course, can perhaps be compared to early Pink Floyd in a vague sense, but fantastic long tracks, mostly instrumental with some vocals, but just the atmosphere on this record is so capturing, if I can say so. So if you should choose one track off of here, it must be Aggression and Communication, the hollow side A on this one. But do yourself a favor and listen to this whole album. Fantastic. They released another one in 1973. This is, by the way, from 71, with a totally new lineup. Only the guitar player Connie White was left, but he was joined by Florian Fricke and the other guy, the long-time member from Popol Vuh. He was also in Amon Düül 2. Daniel Fischler was also on their second album called Bury My Heart That Wounded Me, which is sort of much more melodic and tightened up arrangements, but also a great LP. But I suggest you go for this one, Gila, Aggression and Communication. Another far out one-off band on a major label, one of my top 10 at least favorites is Silberbart and their only album 4x Sound Razing. Fantastic, crazy, experimental progressive rock. I can tell you right away, the vocals are an acquired taste, but it's raw, recorded in a primitive 4-track studio, picked up by a major label. Did nothing, of course, but it has impacted me quite a lot, and I really love this album. So if you should listen to one track just to find out how crazy experimental progressive rock this is, which sound nothing like the British or American prog rock, you have to listen to Brain. 16 minutes of sheer madness. Silberbart, 4x Sound Razing, track Brain. Last but not least, a staple in the krautrock community, fairly known band, commercially successful through the years. Their second LP, Here We Are, I'm talking about the band Jane, and their second LP, which is definitely my favorite. And now we're back to more standard progressive rock, not the megalomaniac sort of type, but the one that builds upon the themes, takes its time, you have to be patient with it. Very atmospherical and heavy, melodic, just fantastic album. This is a cheapie to find. It's been reissued numerous times throughout the 70s and into the 80s, I think. So this is not a hard one to find. So do yourself a favor, go on Discogs and find a copy of Jane, Here We Are. And I absolutely recommend you listen to the title track, Here We Are. So that's my list of 10 Krautrock LPs you have to give a listen before you go into another dimension. So let me know if you have heard about all these bands, or if anyone are new discoveries. Did you like them when you checked them out? Do you agree with my list, or would you have other titles on your 10 LPs you must hear before you die? Well, thanks for watching if you have watched so far, and bye for now.